Hey guys, it's a modern day Nana. Okay, now last video I showed you a pile of junk that we were going to try to work with, and I need some things for Christmas. Now I'm doing uh, one half of the house in the 1950s, kitschy kind of Christmas, and the other half I'm doing in more of a 1900s. All right, I got an old brush. I poured some of that black chalk paint in this little bowl, and I'm just going to paint everything. Start out with a base. I'm just going to paint everything with the black chalk paint. And this is all stuff that I picked up at a yard sale, thrift store, whatever. This is a cute little replica of a little child's ironing board. And somewhere I have an old metal iron. I'll find it and we'll set up a scene. I think that is going to be more of the 1950s Christmas. And this is too, just a cute little tray. We can put some cute little ornaments in. This, and you'll see as we go along here, I'm kind of dividing the things up. I'm doing some for the kitschy Christmas and some for the 1900s Christmas. So I get all the black paint on. Just want a good base coat because I want this stuff to look old, especially the 1900 stuff. I am dragging out, here's some old teal chalk paint, Waverly, and I just kind of hit highlighted it there with the brush. I went over, you can see what I did. So I just kind of went over it. I was just trying to give it some layers, give it some color. So when we go to sanding it later, then hopefully we'll reveal some of the colors we put on it. Now I went to my craft paints and I just pulled a bunch of stuff out. They all need to be used. You keep some of this junk around forever. It gets old. So I literally just started pouring out bottles, so just, there weren't much in some of them, and threw them all in that bowl and was so happy. There's such a feeling of satisfaction when you empty out a bottle of something. Do any of you have that? Oh, okay. Now, I watched a video. I do not know who the woman was. She was an artist. And she said, if you want to get that kitschy 1950s vintage look, add a little bit of the golden yellow, not the light yellow, the golden yellow to your paints. So that's what I did in some of this stuff. I did it in the teal. And it does. It like antiques it a little bit. Okay, so all the stuff, like I said, I picked up yard sale, and these were thin little like things you would put maybe on your porch. I think that's what they're a replica of, or they could be like a shelf, the bottom of a shelf if you were putting a shelf together. I just had this stuff, and so I grabbed it all out. Now, I cannot tell you what colors these are because I am still just lumping colors together to, get the desired effect. I went and got the spray paints. This color shift is from several years ago when we did the patio. So there's my variety of things I'm going to finish up with. That's just a little candle. We've got the wax there I just set back, the antique wax, just some clear coat, some frosted, like a clear frosted coat that I had in my stash, and that color shift paint, which we used on a bunch of stuff. That's the last bottle of it I have, but I thought, oh, that might work well on the greens. So we've got all that. I'm using my little heat gun. One of the girls got it for me for a gift, and I'm just drying this stuff up. The weather ran me inside. It got rainy, so I had to come inside. Boo! I love to be outside. Um, But, you know, it's okay. I got a table set up in the garage because I didn't want the stuff in the house because I make a mess. Now here I mixed a bunch of paint. Um, I threw in some of that gold and yellow, and I was thinking if I mixed in like half glue to the half paint, that maybe it would crackle a little bit. It didn't really. Um, when it dried, it didn't really crackle. So I don't know. If you guys have any tips on how to crackle paint, just let me know. Okay, so this was one of those accordion style things. Now I just painted it and then went over it with that color shift, see? And it gave it that gloss because this one is going to be in for my kitschy 1950s Christmas. So everything, it seems like in that time frame was glossy and shiny, and I needed some things for that, like to set ornaments in. I've got some really cool vintage ornaments, some tree toppers. They were my mom's. So I will dig that stuff out and we will make some adorable scenes. So I wanted that for what we're doing there with the kitschy. This is just sandpaper I get at Dollar Tree. I just fold it up and oh, you can see. So honestly, some of these pieces have probably 5 coats of paint. And that last one, like I said, I did have half glue in there, just regular, like, you know, school glue, and half paint, thinking it would I don't know, do something, but I didn't really feel like it did. So I am just sanding this down now. Now, when you're trying to make a piece look old, it's, you know, think about where the wear would be on it if it had been around a long time. Generally, the corners are going to get banged up. And if you go to pick it up, the handles are going to be worn a little bit. The tray, now that tray, you're not really going to see it because we're going to put some cute stuff in it. See where I'm kind of wearing the handle down with the sandpaper? Yeah. So just, you know, where you think there'll be wear and tear, give it a good sand. I didn't really do anything to the back of it there. I'm just brushing it off because we're not going to see it. And yeah, we'll end up, no, let me see. That might be all we do to that. Well, we do put some of that color. We do put some of that. Oh, here we go. That color change spray. So see, it's like a teal and a yellow. And, you know, like the way you hold it, it's supposed to kind of change color, you know, if you're walking by it or something like that. And it does. But really, the thing I was doing was just trying to give it a nice gloss, and trying to use up the stuff I have. I just love it when I can, you know, get rid of something and be like, okay, I use that up. Um, and I don't have to carry it back in the house or the garage or the shed because I have one of each. And the basement. Yes. I was digging in the Christmas stuff. I got part of the Christmas stuff out, just kind of trying to see what I would want to use for the kitschy Christmas, what I would want to use for the 1900s vintage Christmas. Um, and oh, I didn't get much separated, but oh my God, you guys, this is going to be so stinking cute. And I've not really ever done that 1950s before. So yeah, I can't wait. That is going to be so, so cute. So now this one I'm going to use in the 1900s. And I already sanded that off so you can see the black and you can see some different layers. I sanded it around the edges where you'd have wear and tear. Now I'm taking this Antique Wax by Waverly, and you know it's to go over chalk paint, but this was pretty much chalk paint. And gosh, I'm really laying it on thick here, but just get yourself, you know, a rag, a cloth, whatever, uh, and work it in. And then it took me a little bit of elbow grease, maybe because I had so many layers of paint on there, but it really saturated in to that wood. But yeah, it ends up looking really cool. So we'll use this, and I've actually got, oh, I mean, there's a million things you could do with this little tool box. So honestly, the sky's the limit. And like I said, I had this stuff and I didn't really have some colors that I needed. So I thought, hey, let's just get all our junk paints out and get to work. This was honestly tons of fun because I was just slapping the paint on there, just throwing it on. I even took my brush and um, kind of sponged it on. I wasn't real smooth with the strokes. I was more like just kind of patted it on to give it kind of a more texture. See, I'm giving it a little oomph there to get that off, but yeah, it ends up looking really cool. And we could always put like a little sign or something on that too on the outside of it if we wanted when we get there. I just wanted to get the base of these things done so that we had some stuff to work with. And you don't need to go out and buy uh, a product all done, and you don't even have to have honestly certain things. Like me, and I've showed you in several videos, I just pile up my junk. If I get an idea of like, oh, I want to make this, like couple weeks ago we made a witch's hat. Well, it was, yeah, like a green witch's hat. I just piled up the junk in the middle of the table and went from there. I mean, I had an idea what I wanted to do, but I didn't go out and buy stuff. I used what I had. And it turned out really, really nice. You can go back and look at that if you want. It's in the Halloween, probably be the last one in that list. Anyway, so that, what we just had, was just part of an old like ceiling light. Okay. So I just put the antique wax on that. Now I'm not going to do this on here because this we're going to use for our kitschy Christmas. So I wanted it to be shiny and kind of go along with that theme of the pinks and the teals and the greens, because all those colors are so cute together. And there's even some reds thrown in, which is really interesting, but it works. The teal, this color of teal, and just red ornaments, I'm surprised at how well that works. Colors are a really fascinating thing. I mean, it's a study all to itself. Oh, now here's this old frosted. Look at the rusted. It's all I'm like, let's use it. I honestly didn't know what it was gonna do. I thought, nothing venture, nothing gain. We'll just get her out and spray it down. I was just looking for a little shine, and it did. So, all right, now we're working on these. Are they called corbels? I don't know. That comes into my mind. But see those that are sitting up behind me there. Once I found a thrift store, you saw them when we started. I think they were painted white. Yeah, they were originally white. But when you see things, you're like, oh, I could do something with that. If it's 50 cents, 99 cents, whatever, snatch it up. If you have the place to save it and the means to do that, you can snatch it up and then you can have it in your stash. And then, like me, when I decide, oh, I'm going to get some stuff together for Christmas, I didn't have to go out and buy anything. I had stuff to work with. I'm really fighting off the urge, guys, though, to go buy a tinsel tree. I'm really fighting off the urge. So I don't know if my better sense will win out, or I will go get myself a tinsel tree, because I mean nothing screams 1950s Christmas like a silver tinsel tree. Um, I do have a little, maybe 4 or 5 foot pink one my daughter gave me, never been out of the box, which would really work. So it's not like I don't have anything that would work, but um, I don't know. I'm struggling with wanting to go get that tinsel tree. So we'll see. We'll see if what happens if I venture over to Walmart and there happens to be a silver tinsel tree there. Whoo! I might not be able to control myself. So So now I have got out in the entry mudroom, basically, I have got one of those old antique, probably, I'm not sure the year, early 1900s, cream and green, the color of these, old stove. Actually works if it was hooked up to gas. It's a whole unit. You can see it in some of my other Christmas videos in my walkthroughs of years past. You can see the stove in the Christmas walkthroughs. Um, so I was kind of thinking, ooh, those would be cute in there somewhere. And so that's kind of where I'm thinking with those. But yeah, these will all probably go for the more vintage. Now, see that one in the middle? I didn't know. I think I'm just going to glue them all together. I just thought, well, that would be nice. It was just, one I picked up. Um, it looks like, a bracket for a shelf, but I thought those two are so thin that I'll just paint this one the same colors and maybe I can sandwich it in between, and that way we can make it a nice stand-up piece without worrying about it falling over. And this would be super cute, you guys, with some old books, like it was a bookend. It would be neat with some old books stacked against it. And I have certainly tons of old red and old green books that would be really eye-catching. Books are a great way to decorate. We just had my son's wedding and they wanted basically a book theme as part of it. It was a Hobbit wedding, but we incorporated lots of books into that. And that's in the playlist too. If when I get an idea of that. I've also seen those trees that they make out of like stacked books. We might try that. I think those are really cute. So I'm just sanding away here. Now this really did bubble up, and this gave me some nice texture. All right, here we are. My hands are a mess as usual. It kind of looks like I missed some spots, but you get the point. The frosted, we're good. It's shiny. This was that color change spray over some teal. I didn't sand it off. I just kind of liked it. And then this, just another color paint underneath with that color change spray on it. And I think those three items will be good for the kitschy Christmas. Okay, now this stuff is more kind of flat. I used antique wax on some of it. This I did. That we'll figure out something cool to do with that. Look how cool these turned out. Now I didn't put any top on. I didn't put any clear coat or anything like that. I just kind of like them rough like they are. Now I was going to show you. I've got just a little thing. That's the white wax, like the antique wax for the chalk paint, or you could just run some wax over it if you kind of wanted to seal it. I think they're fine, just as they are. Those will be cool in that antique kind of 1900s look that we're going for. And those, I'm going to glue them together. I've got some wood glue, and we'll just get those glued together, and that'll be a nice addition to whatever we choose to put it with. I really like that look. You can't really see the holes. I mean, you can see them, but you know what I mean. That middle piece is kind of impeding them, but that's fine. And then look at this. Now, I have got some old toys. We'll just have to see. And you know what I've got that we could put in here? We could put a candle in here. We could put greens in here. I mean, honestly, you guys, we could put so much in here. But I've got a bunch of Mom's old marbles. We could do something with a jar of marbles, a candle, a doll, whatever. All right, I'm getting all this stuff together. I'm just showing you. So this is what we've got to work with. And yeah, stay tuned. And we'll get some Christmas things put together. It's the Modern Day Nana. And I hope you like and subscribe. And I will see you guys very soon. Take care. Bye.